Man, I just want to make a few points about the YouTuber Chrissy and her video when she said educated lames fail to assert themselves in the community, and she made a couple of valid points in her video. I don't want to take anything away from her. This is not a personal attack on her. To be quite frank, I really don't know her. I just recently started, viewing a couple of her videos, and I just recently subscribed to her just so I can get a beat on what she's talking about. Hell, I myself, I'm recent to this YouTube making video thing. Even though I've been around listening to YouTube, I've been had my ear and my finger on the pulse of the YouTube conversation since like '07, '08. But yeah, this is not a personal attack on her. But it was a couple of things that I noticed in her video, which really kind of made me angry. And now she's coming back, you know, defending herself with another video. And I think, what really should have been done, because as soon as she made it, a couple of days later, everybody was just flying off the hinges. They were coming for her head when she made that. And I think that, she should have been a little bit more honest and shown a little bit more clarity and what she was talking about, how she was delivering it. And furthermore, I think that the men who responded to her should have just, took a couple of deep breaths, took a walk around the block real quick, and then, came back to her video, finished it, uh, and then deconstructed her points and then made a sound rebut to what she was saying. Because I'm gonna tell you, when I listened to the video, I got probably about halfway through the video, and a couple of points that she made, or a couple of things that she said that I necessarily did not agree with, it set me off. I was angry. I stopped the video and I'm like, where's my pen and pad? I need to write a couple of things down, make a couple of notes, and then touch on this. I need to make a response video immediately. But I didn't. I said, hold on, let me just sit back. And then I sat back, and then 2, 3 days later, you know, response videos is flying out the woodworks. But it's a couple of points in there in our video that I had a problem with. Namely, was the timeline of the black community, um, post civil rights era up until now. And I think she was incredibly dishonest with that, because it's clear as day, and it's common knowledge how the timeline goes. It goes civil rights, slide right after the civil rights came in, the Great Society program and state assistance and welfare and whatnot. Then came in feminism in the 70s and the disco era and whatnot. Then in the 80s came crack cocaine. Then in the 90s came gangster rap. Early 90s came gangster rap. And with that came violent gang culture. And after, by the mid 90s, it was full blown, refined baby mama industrial complex. And I think she was highly dishonest, or she was ill informed about the timeline. But come on, she's she's well aware of the timeline, just as I'm well aware of the timeline. Me and her are right around the same age. I mean, I myself, I couldn't fancy myself as an educated lame. I couldn't, I haven't gotten my official educated lame membership card because, I'm still going about going through, my scholastic endeavors, earning my education and whatnot. So I'm not an official educated lame. I'm like a educated lame apprentice and whatnot. But my advice to her, just taking little tidbits from the classes that I'm going through right now. My advice to her, and I learned this in Communications 100, is when you are given a dissertation about if it's an argumentative speech or if you're trying to give a persuasive speech, the main thing that you have to establish and maintain is your credibility. If you lose that credibility at any point during your dissertation, you will completely lose the trust of your audience, and everything you said before you lost that credibility will be deemed invalid, and everything you say after you lose that credibility will be deemed invalid. See, I was rocking with her, on because I'm I'm not against constructive criticism. Bring it on. If I'm fucking up, tell me I'm fucking up. You know, but be fair about it. Don't be one of those shift the blame to me just to take the blame off of you. But yeah, I'm not afraid of constructive criticism. And as she was giving her critiques throughout the video, but then about when I say about halfway through, she shot herself in the foot when she was, I think, and this term is overused. It's so overused that I don't even want to use it, but I can't find another term that suits this, that's better suited for this. But she was being intellectually dishonest with her timeline when she stated that black women, essentially what she was saying was, yeah, black women was holding for it, and we were just so virtuous all throughout the 60s and the 70s, and we was just holding it down so much that, by the time gangster rap came and gang culture was full blown in the community, we just had no choice. We had to just turn over to the state and then put men on child support and be welfare moms. By the like when she did that, she shot her credibility went straight through the floor with me. And then it was like everything she said before that, I just had to discard it, and everything that she was gonna say after that, I had to. My initial reaction was to dismiss it, and I'm in a unique position myself because I wouldn't put myself in the category of a street dude or a D boy or educated lame and whatnot. But I've never had any problems attracting women and or getting women for that matter. But throughout, I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. But I've changed since my late teens, early 20s. I mean, I'm in my late 20s. I mean, late 20s, early 30s. But I can tell you that um, I've changed a lot since my late teens, early 20s up until now. And I can tell you that women were a lot more receptive to the, how you say, swagnificent uh, aura that I presented in my early 20s as opposed to now in my late 20s, early 30s, where I'm more, I wouldn't say I'm more rigid, but I'm more, what's the word I'm looking for? More disciplined in my approach to life. Now, I can still chat it up with a gal and we can talk about her interests and I can crack jokes and keep her laughing and do all that shit, I can still do that, but it's just, and not only that, but when I tell gals that I'm a college student, it's all of a sudden stereotypes of a college student pops in their mind. But back in the day, when I was just a knucklehead chasing pussy, just trying to be the most swagnificent man on 2 feet, it was, you know what I mean? Like they were receiving me different. So, I mean, aesthetically, I didn't change much. I aged kind of gracefully. I can still pass for a early 20s kind of guy. But then I asked, well, what changed? Then you have to take a look at natural selection, and there's four forms of natural selection. You got stabilizing selection, sexual selection, directional selection, and artificial selection. And this is where you have to place onus on the women. And you, as a woman, you have to take onus to this. And this is directly attributed to sexual selection based on any trait that gives a competitive edge in mating and reproduction. Females are agents of selection when they choose a mate. That's science. Now, granted, we're animals just like any other species on this planet, and we engage in a quasi tournament style mating slash what's it called? How birds vie for mates. It's more of like a display type of mating approach. Tournament style where you have the rams, they go head up and they butt heads to try to see who's the stronger male to vie for sexual reproductive access to the female. And then on the other hand, you have birds who build the most extravagant nests, or the male peacock who displays the most extravagant plumage of feathers to attract the the mate. And you can see this both tournament style mating and display style mating meshed together within humans. You can see this on any Friday or Saturday night in your local bar or club. It's, especially if you're talking about a black club, when you're talking about, you know, black males going there with their gold teeth, jewelry, true religion jeans on, and whatnot, trying to display to the females and then engaging in aggressive uh, actions towards other males to ward them off for sexual access to these women. But in the common denominator of all this, what is the common denominator in all this? The woman, as one of the four forms of natural selection states, females are agents of selection when they choose a mate. And really, if you look at it, the deck is stacked against the educated lame as it pertains to the prime years of a female's sexual reproductive prime, of a female sexual reproduction, I mean. That being, you know, 18 to 25. From 18 to 25, those years of a female's sexual reproductive years or whatnot, the deck is stacked against the educated lame. I've seen in many instances where the educated lame tried to assert himself but was denied for the instant gratification of the D boy. And then if the educated lame persisted to attempt to assert himself, he was deemed as a stalker, weirdo, or, you know, just some some lame reject who just didn't get the picture, like a Steve Urkel, for instance, steadily chasing Laura around. Come on. And while Steve Urkel's in his basement, fixing, making Urkelbot and working on the formula to turn him into Stefan, some D boy around the corner is beating the brakes off of Laura. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real life right there. But in your whole finger wagging video at the educated black man, you failed to mention this reality. And even though I I spent much of my adolescence in the suburbs, growing up in the suburbs, my early childhood was spent in the inner city, and I've maintained a close relationship with the inner city. I'm that relative that comes to your family reunion and gets with some of the cousins and goes to the back room and shoot dice and, you know, drink and smoke and talk shit and crack jokes and shooting dice and whatnot. That's me. Like, I do that shit. But at the same time, I'll turn around and talk geopolitical politics with you and economics and technology and Pythagorean theorem with you and talk about goddamn the stock market with you. Like I'm that dude. So I've been on both sides of the fence. I really can't think of a better metaphor to sum up the assertive, educated lame within the black community than Steve Urkel. If you watch that show, Family Matters, Steve Urkel was an educated lame, and he did not fail to assert himself. He made his life. His life was centered around asserting himself to win over Laura, and he never truly did. And that is a microcosm of the educated lame in the black community. And for you to just leave out information and to gloss over shit and to switch up pieces within the timeline of the black community is, I don't know what to say. And I see right through it because I've been that guy that, really wasn't shit, had some dead end job. All I had going for me was my looks and a couple of jokes that I could tell and my witty sense of humor and whatnot. And I'm laying up in a chick's bed and her estranged boyfriend who's off at college, studying fucking biology and whatnot, is blowing up her phone because he has a sense that she's cheating on her or he wants to get back with her, but she don't want to get back with him because she want to fuck with me. But it's obvious that at the time I ain't had shit going for myself. Flip side, I've been that educated lame that in some sense has been kind of given the side eye by some females. A lot of females turn a blind eye to my educatedness, but I'm feeling both sides, and I see the picture from all angles. And look, my thing is like if there's gonna be any reconciliation between the genders within the black community, if that's what you really are aiming for, if you're aiming for black women and black men coming to some consensus, then, like Xerxes said on 300, come now, let us reason together. You need to be reasonable about this. You can't just throw everything at the feet of black men and or educated lames and just completely exonerate the women from any blame whatsoever, because I guarantee many men, educated lames, thugs, street dudes, blue collar guys alike, will be willing to forgive you and take you in if you just say, hey, listen, I was on some bullshit, I fucked up, this is where I fucked up, I won't do it again, let's move forward. And this is a message to all black women. If you could just be willing to say, listen, yeah, we've been on some bullshit, we fucked up here, we fucked up on X, Y, and Z, we won't do that again. Overnight, you will see male female relations within the black community change.